what's keeping this administration going is the big lie and the media's acceptance of the big lie.
What is happening? Something is going on. Can you feel the way?
Hi, welcome to Spiral Into It. I'm Fisk Smith. This is the first part in a two-part episode with activist Carol Brouillet. Activist Carol Brouillet is perhaps one of this country's strongest voices for peace and justice. Her daily commitment of dissent and protest is a standard of commitment high and away above any you will ever see. For years, Carol has been demonstrating and speaking out on the issues of globalization, money and wealth, and what really happened on 9/11, among other important topics. Let's listen to this fearless lady, and you will see why she is the poster girl for reasonable dissent in the USA. What is happening? Something is going on. Can you feel the way? Carol, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're currently doing.
I'm a mother. I have 3 kids, ages 9, 11, and 14. And for the last year, I've been trying to raise public awareness about 9/11 and what really happened. And I became an activist 10 years ago when I saw a film, JFK, and I started doing research about the CIA. And that disturbed me enough to just plunge into being a full-time activist, or as much as a woman with small children can be. And I've been working on peace, justice issues for a long time. And one issue seems to lead to another. So exposing the CIA and the military, what their activities have been throughout the Third World, has been one of my major focuses. But then I also found out about the nuclear issues and edited a book on the health effects of low-level radiation and nuclear issues. And then I looked into the global economic issues and was working on campaigns against the World Bank and the IMF, the World Trade Organization, with a particular focus on the monetary system. And actually about a year ago, a group of us were planning on going to Washington, D.C. to protest the IMF, the World Bank, and the Bush domestic policies. And our focus was going to be on corporate cannibalization. And I was staying up till midnight working on that campaign when the disaster hit. And I was shocked, and at first I thought, oh, well, there goes our trip to DC. But then the media started playing the drums of war, and we decided to go to Washington, D.C. anyway to protest what looked like an impending war upon Afghanistan. And I really felt, terrible about what happened, but I was also wondering, what happened? Why? And in D.C., I went to 3 major anti-war protests, and at one of the rallies I heard the word oil, that there was a schism between the ruling oligarchies and that the war was more about oil than it was about capturing terrorists. And so I started doing research, and because I've actually been an activist for 10 years and I've organized demonstrations and marches and events and conferences, and I've gone to Brazil and Italy and all over the world to attend different conferences and work with people who also care about the future and are against corporate globalization. I have a lot of contacts, so I was getting lots of information from a number of different sources. And by November, December of last year, I was, very, very disturbed with 9/11, and I saw many different articles which led me to believe that it was a special operation conducted by the US government to achieve its ends. And I organized a meeting with my senators, staff. It's very hard to talk to Feinstein and Boxer directly, but I knew how to at least organize a meeting and speak with their staff. What I have been trying to do actually for the last year is to help merge the anti-corporate globalization movement with the anti-war movement to help them see the deeper connections and how this covert operation helped the military as well as the legislature to pursue this corporate globalization agenda. And you could see it, initially the Patriot Act, the anti-terrorist legislation, Homeland Security, these just wiped out our civil liberties in this country, and they've also been mirrored in countries throughout the world. So it's they have redefined terrorism to include anyone who opposes government policy, including those who are engaged in nonviolent civil disobedience, the people who shut down the World Trade Organization, the people who were planning to go to Washington, D.C. last September, and there's a lot of them there at this moment in time, because every year the World Bank and the IMF meet late September in Washington. So generally, I'll go there to protest those institutions at this time of year. But last year, after the attacks, they canceled the World Bank and the IMF meetings, and they canceled the protests too. And I was somewhat shocked and disappointed, actually, by some of the larger organizations who said, okay, let's go easy on Bush after the attacks of September 11th. And I have since then been rather disappointed in the established left in general, because they have been attacking those raising the questions instead of looking at what actually happened on September 11th and allowing the corporations and the government to define what happened.